Here is how to come up with the perfect pinning strategy for you. I get a lot of questions on my videos about how many pins should you be pinning, why my impressions are going down, and more. So I'm going to talk about my strategy and what I do each week, and then give you advice for how you can tailor that to your own account. And if you would like more personal help with Pinterest, I do offer Pinterest audits, so I will leave the information for that down below in the description. Now, the first thing to understand with Pinterest is you need to have a variety of links to pin. Pinterest wants fresh content on the platform, and that can mean one of two things. Fresh pins or fresh content either means an old link, which is something that you've pinned before, with a brand new pin design. Or it could be something completely brand new, a new blog post, and a new pin design. And I always recommend pinning between 2 and 5 links a day. Most of my Pinterest management clients usually either ask for 3 pins a day or 5 pins a day, with 5 pins a day being my most popular one. That usually is what I end up pinning for people. And then I get people asking me, what if I pin 10 Pinterest pins a day? And that's fine, you can do that, but more pins doesn't always mean better results. It used to be that you could pin 25 to 50 times a day on Pinterest. I used to do that, and Pinterest literally would not care. But now they say to never pin more than 25 pins because it is just too much in one day. And personally, I don't think you really need to be pinning 10 pins a day, honestly. That's why my range is always 2 to 5, because I feel like that's reasonable. With everything else that you have going on in your life, whether you are working full-time or you have kids, or even if you are doing this full-time, I feel like 3 to 5 is a good milestone or metric to hit because it's not going to take up a lot of time. But the main thing that you want to do is figure out what can you reasonably keep up with, which is why I usually recommend 2 to 5, because that is what I think would be reasonable to keep up with. If you can only pin once a day though, that is completely fine if you can do that consistently. But if you can pin 10 pins a day and you can do that consistently without burning yourself out, then that's probably fine too. Whatever you can keep up with is what you should be pinning, because Pinterest wants you to be actively creating on the platform. And if you want to jump right out of the gate and decide that you are going to do 10 pins a day, but then after a week or two, you get burned out and you stop pinning, you're not really helping yourself. So stick to what you can do, because quality of the pins matters over the consistency. If you are going to pin 10 pins a day, but 5 of them are going to be super crappy because you got bored at the end of the day or you ran out of time, that is not going to help you. But if you can pin even just 3 quality pins a day, that is going to skyrocket your account. That is going to be better. And I get a lot of comments asking the same thing that this commenter is asking. Maybe you've just started your blog and you don't have a lot of links to pin. What should you do in that scenario? And in this case, you could just pin less. Simple as that. It's not a hard and fast rule that you need to pin every single day or you're not going to get anywhere. It's just recommended, because what you want is consistency. And if you only have 2 links to pin when you're just starting out, you should not pin those back to back every single day, because you can get caught up in the spam filter. So just pin less and then work your way up to more pins as you get more blog posts done. If you only have 2 links to pin, maybe you only do 1 or 2 pins every other day. And you really, even if you spread them out a little bit, you still don't want to be pinning the same link over and over again, even if you have a couple days in between it. So you just want to pin significantly less. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend that you start with 5 or so blog posts when you launch your blog, because then you have more of a variety to create. And if you are consistently going to be creating 1 blog post every single week, then you can add the new blog post in to your pinning cycle so that you won't have any issues getting marked as spam or pinning the same link too many times or anything like that. And I always say, don't pin links back to back because you might get marked as spam. And I honestly think people take this a little bit too seriously and think it's more of a problem than it actually is. While it is a problem and it is something that you want to be concerned about, if you pin 1 link back to back for 3 days in a row, you are not going to get marked as spam and you're going to be just fine. Occasionally, I do this myself. I realize, I created an extra pin that I didn't need to create and I slotted into Tuesday. So I accidentally pin Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday the exact same link. I do this with my clients' pins sometimes. I do this with mine, and it ends up being just fine. What the problem is when it becomes way too much and you're pinning the same link over and over again for months on end. So people always ask, well, how should I separate my pins so that I don't get marked as spam? And this comment right here has explained my strategy better than I ever could, because I struggle to figure out how to explain my strategy. And this comment right here has done a fantastic job at explaining what my strategy is. And this is how I don't get marked as spam, by pinning the same link on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. and then I pin a second batch on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I hope I said that right. But every other day is when I pin the same link, and I am totally fine. I do this with my clients' accounts. I do this with mine, and it's fine. So it's not as big of a deal as a lot of people think it is, and I understand why people would be concerned about it, but like it is okay, I promise. As long as you are not pinning one link or 2 links or maybe even 3 links, I don't really know because they don't really tell us exactly what makes people marked as spam. And when they get marked as spam, they don't even tell us. Like my account got marked as spam, which I will link up here wherever it is. If you want to check that video out about how I got marked as spam, what I told Pinterest, how I figured it out, all that stuff, I'll leave the link up there to that video. But they don't tell you. You just have to kind of figure it out on your own. And so I don't know the ins and outs of exactly what happens. But if you're pinning maybe the same 5 links, 3 links, especially 1 or 2 links for months on end, that is when it's going to become an issue, not 1 week to the next or 1 month to the next. Especially if you are pinning multiple other links in there. If you decide you want to promote the same blog post 2 months in a row, you can do that. You should be just fine. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up. Another question that I get is about idea pins as well. Should you do them? Is it okay to do 5 a day? What's the strategy behind them? And to be honest, I can't tell you because I don't use idea pins. I never really got the point of them because it started out as like stories. I think they've done a lot with idea pins over the years. I think it started out like stories where they were trying to say, oh, this pin is only going to show up in the feed for 24 hours. And then they realized that's not what Pinterest is about. So we're going to change it to story pins. And then it was idea pins. And now I think idea pins are just video pins. Who knows what is going on with Pinterest because they are changing constantly. I don't really do idea pins. Occasionally, I have tested them out with just different types of pins, like videos or like multiple carousel pins, basically. Or I've posted some of the shorts or reels that I post on Instagram and YouTube. I post them to Pinterest and they get a couple hundred views. They get a couple likes, but they really don't do anything for my account because back then you couldn't actually add a link to them. So they were pretty pointless because you could never drive traffic off of Pinterest to do anything with it. And now I think they're video pins, so maybe you can add a link. But again, I still don't use them because I didn't find them to be necessary. So if you want to try them out, that's fine. It's hard to give you guys a hard yes or no answer. You should or you should not be doing this. Some strategies with Pinterest, I can tell you like, no, you don't need to use hashtags. They are pretty useless. And yes, you need to use keywords. Like those things I can tell you are hard and fast rules of yes and no. But if you say, I want to pin 10 pins a day, it's like, okay, yeah, try it out. See if that works for your lifestyle and works for your account. Idea pins, try it out. See if you like it. If it works for your account, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Or it might be neutral. Like with me, didn't really help, didn't really hurt. It was kind of just neutral, didn't fit into my style of pinning, so I just didn't do it. I think you could test out everything that Pinterest has to offer because if they're offering it, there's a reason for it. Test it out if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. I don't think it's going to hurt your account one way or the other personally, because it didn't hurt mine. And video pins, I don't know, again, because I don't use them. I don't know if idea pins are now just video pins, because idea pins, I still have the link to make idea pins or like the option to make an idea pin. So I think idea pins and video pins are 2 different things, but they're categorized the same. I don't know. But you can also put video pins as opposed to a static pin. So like a static pin would be a normal Pinterest pin that you always see on Pinterest. And then a video pin would be like people sometimes re-upload their TikToks to it, or it is a like how to start a blog. And then the picture that they use is like a GIF or it's a video or it's a moving picture. And people ask a lot about video pins. Like, should you use them? Should you not use them? I use them for a little bit and they did okay. But personally for my account, I've never noticed video pins doing better or worse than my normal pins. Again, this is another thing that it's like, if you want to try out video pins and it fits your strategy and you enjoy doing them, go for it. I don't really bother because honestly, one of the reasons I don't bother is just because it takes longer to download a video pin from Pinterest to my computer, and static pins I can upload and download a lot quicker. So that's really one of the only reasons I don't use them, is because I'm sick of waiting for them to save to my computer and then upload to Pinterest. They take a little bit longer to save. That's the only reason I don't use them. And again, like it wasn't here nor there results. It wasn't like my video pins did significantly better than my static pins. So I just stick with good old tried and true and tested static pins on Pinterest. However, again, I recommend you try it out if you want. You don't have to, but if you want, it might work really well for your account. And that's the thing, because I am a Pinterest manager, I get to see how different accounts work. And I have to figure out what strategy is going to work for this account versus what strategy is going to work for this other account. So like for me, the pins that I notice do really well are infographics. I'll put an example up here. Ones that have small text, a lot of information, they need to be clicked on, they need to be read. Those do really well for me. My top pins are always this type of Pinterest pin. However, I'm running an art Pinterest account, and I, after a couple months, noticed what pins do well for them is pins with personally what I think are kind of ugly colors, but just bright colors or colors that you wouldn't really think go together, and bold text and one picture. Some of these are Pinterest pins that I think I would never create those for my account because they would never do well. But this account, I put colors together that I would never have thought would work, and they're doing really well. And then I've just started working on a travel account, and I started looking up pictures of Pinterest pins that were ranking that were travel pins, and they have a lot less words on them. The text is really small, and they have 3 to 4 collages of pictures. And I have a feeling that that's what's going to do well with this account. So every account is different. And I sometimes can't say like yes or no specifically, but try out all the things. These are the things that work for me. They may work for you too, or they may not. But as long as you try them out and you give them a good honest try. If you put out one Pinterest pin that's like a video pin and it did terrible, you're like, this doesn't work, I wouldn't try it for more than a couple months, because sometimes it takes a decent amount of time to actually get things going. Like this last account that I've been working on, it took a couple months for me to realize, okay, this is 100% what does well. I basically will pin for a month and then look back and say, okay, this is what did well, this is what didn't. So we're going to test some things out. We're going to go to the tried and true methods that I know work. And then we're also going to test out some things because maybe another method works that I was not expecting. So that's kind of what you can do on your own account as well. And a lot of this stuff I have learned over time, and it just comes with testing. But some of it I've actually learned from courses. One of the courses that I usually recommend actually got taken down, but luckily I was already taking another Pinterest course that I want to recommend to you guys. It's called Pinteresting Strategies. It's fantastic. Honestly, I am mind blown by the amount of effort and time and research and dedication that the creator of the course has put into figuring out Pinterest. Some of these things are just mind boggling, and I have no idea how you would even figure it out. And the strategies are good and they work. And I have been putting them into implementation with my account and my clients' accounts, and they are working. So it is a huge recommendation from me. It's called Pinteresting Strategies. If you want to check it out, down below in the description, I will leave a link. And in terms of my overall strategy, I have already broken it down step by step in the last Pinterest video that I did, which I will link right here. So check that out if you're interested, and make sure to like this video if you liked, and subscribe to my channel down below for more videos just like this. Bye.